Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Herbert is being chased, thrown on the run, and it is caught. Touchdown, Keenan Allen. What a great...
My goal is not to break you. My goal is to make you harder to break.
Comes back. Number 6.
Huge sack by Joey Bosa.
Touchdown! 90-yard touchdown!
Off at the 8-yard line by Derwin James.
Sets his speed, takes a shot downfield, has Knighton, caught, touchdown, Chargers!
Grab your lunch boxes and go attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
It is just my bloody luck to come back to the show after a month off for a victory pod at the Death in Miami.
Yes!
Thanks for tuning in tonight to the Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast. You've got Andy here, and I'm with Alistair for tonight. We are sadly missing the Teach. He's working through some work stuff right now. That's all I can say on the matter. We'll get him back soon. But Al, mate, it's good to be back. And well, after a tough couple of weeks, it's good to get that W.
You fly back into the country. The Chargers fly towards victory. Now I'm a little miffed that we're not going to get a Mike McDaniel impersonation. It could be the last time we ever get the opportunity. Puffing on your feet, man. But he's just missed out this show. But listeners, he'll be back soon. Hey, how was your trip? Did you manage to watch a bit of Chargers, or you're too busy enjoying the Tour d'Eiffel and Michelangelo's David?
I got a couple of games in. I got obviously the Raiders game. I think was the first one that I was away for, and then I watched the Denver game with Ryan, which was awesome. Thanks again, brother, for the hospitality. In true fashion, I've just got to tell this story because I found it utterly hilarious. We'd never met the bloke in person, and we've agreed to meet at a train station on the Sunday afternoon. And I thought, I'll just quickly top up my train pass. So I turned right instead of left, and about 20 seconds into the process, I feel these fingers into my back. Give me your phone, give me your wallet, give me everything you got, only for me to turn around to Ryan. And I thought, that's my kind of guy. That's the exact sort of shit I'd pull. And from then it was a bloody great evening. But to go back to your question, unfortunately, after that, various internet situations weren't playing along. My VPN wasn't up to scratch or pulling its weight. So, no, I had to painfully follow along with the scores to the Giants and the Washington game before, little slip of the tongue, before enjoying that one back home. So, yeah, good. Glad I actually it's a bit of a blessing in disguise, not being able to watch those two shite weeks. But you guys handled the emotions very well on the show. Jack's irate rant to kick things off last week was great. Like you said, he'll be back with raining piss out of his pockets next week. But yeah, like a couple of great shows, guys. So clearly didn't miss me at all.
We missed you, mate. You're back in the chair. I was very uncomfortable playing that role. So glad to follow the leader.
It's all good, man. It's good to be back. So where do you want to kick off? What did you see as a vitally important aspect to this game, to the outcome, for maybe things that have been lacking in the past couple of weeks, or just on the overall kind of scheme of things?
I can't get past that last play. I can't get past Herculean Herbert. That is season on the line stuff. To channel Richie Benno for the Australian listeners, there's super effort there by Tender, season saving stuff. That is that is season is there. Could be in a situation where you're crumbling and you've lost 3 in a row, and your schedule is now going to get a little bit tougher. You're going to play teams like the Colts and the Vikings. We couldn't drop that game to the Dolphins after having a 13-point lead or 14-point lead going into the last quarter. And Herbert, with defenders draped across him. I joked offline, the scene resembled a battle from a war like Gettysburg or something, which it shouldn't have been because the Dolphins only rushed 4 and the Chargers had 6 in protecting the passer, including the running back. Still, right tackle, right guards, cop L's. Herbert just gets that play off. He knows where his outlet receiver is. Of course, it's Ladd McConkey. We put out a tweet earlier in the week saying maybe the offense could do with targeting a little more Ladd McConkey. Lo and behold, with Quentin Johnston out with a hamstring, he has his second most targets for the season, the most he's had in a game since the Chiefs matchup in week 1. He goes for 100 yards, makes a match-winning play right at the end of the game. That's what I'm going to remember. And as Jim Harbaugh was saying, until they're pouring dust on me under the ground, I will remember that play. That's the play I will remember from this game, mate.
Yeah, super important. We just we did so well this is an awesome way. We were talking before we started the show about how we wanted to break down the recap of the game. And I think it's perfect to start on essentially the last play of the game and then work our way back because it sort of paints a bit of a prettier picture to an extent there, doing it that way. Super reminiscent of the Denver touchdown pass to Keenan Allen a few weeks back, getting just players draped all over him. But it was everything else. It was the return from Nyheim Hines off the practice squad on that kickoff. Gets you into, the 40, almost near midfield. Then Hassan Haskins lays an awesome sort of chip block, then gets upfield and helps the lad get a few extra yards. It's all that sort of stuff that is just oozes the will to win. And whilst, it's sort of fluctuated with Harborian kind of football for mine throughout the game, there was moments where it was so obvious and then moments where it just completely disappeared. That was the epitome of it all and really encapsulated a hard-fought win.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that play, something that I've got to mention that made me laugh. We've got some, obviously, Australian mates who don't follow the sport that closely. And one of the things they might say to me is, these Americans make such a big deal about any kind of play. And the dude just moved 5 yards. He didn't really do anything there. And people are saying, what fantastic athleticism. On that play, the number of people, including Harbaugh, who called out Zion Johnson's hustle.
Yeah.
Just for running 20 yards in space, doing nothing, not actually involved in the play at all. And Harbaugh's like, Zion, unbelievable getting out there. I'm like, Zion did nothing other than trail the play as a cheerleader.
Not a word of a lie. I had to go back and watch the play after listening to the press conferences, having watched the whole game, just to go, I saw Haskins there a lot. I didn't see Zion. Oh, great, he ran. Good on him. It's like, did he affect that block? No, he was just kind of there. It was special. The emotions clearly running high. And like you said, that play epitomizes the mentality and the grit of the team, and it means so lot to snap that 2-game losing streak heading into a couple of difficult challenges. So yeah, highest importance. Important to me as well in light of, you could pick any position group, but the running backs especially, Hampton out, Harris out. I thought it was just awesome that Kamani Vidal had a breakout game. In moments he looked agile, still kind of lacking that top end speed, and I think without kind of wanting to take away too quickly from him, there were definitely a couple of those runs which, if it was Hampton, might have been a little bit further, might have broken that line. But really great that he's called back in from getting waived and has a day like that. And like I said, Haskins, some great pass blocking efforts, and Nyheim Hines on the return. So those 3 guys getting kind of called up into work was a really great thing from my point of view.
Wonderful reward for effort for Kamani, for starters, a guy who didn't make the 53, practice squad candidate. His previous career high rushing yards for a game was 34 rush yards, and he's had 124 rush yards in this game. Some of them were just him. Like, that's all Kamani. He's made the edge miss and he's pushed it out for 20-odd yards. I thought, though, beyond this game, what this showed is one of those moments that the team can really rally around and think about, hey, we might have unlocked a key to our running game here, because what they did in this game is realized, a running power, running gap, straight up and down, maybe not the recipe for success with a guy like Vidal, who's not as powerful. So they ran a bit more zone. They ran a bit more outside tackle. And in this game, I think what we learnt was Will Dissly is instrumental to the running game. Tucker Fisk is a better fullback than Scott Matlock and was instrumental on a couple of those runs, especially the key 38-yard sweep in the first quarter. That was our three best run blockers blocking up that play. Dissly, Fisk as the lead blocker, Trey Harris as the wide receiver sealing the outside DB.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. This running game was really run blocking has been challenging to say the least. It still was in this game. We will speak about the offensive line a little later on, but it was nice to see Greg Roman, this run guru, that we've been waiting to see some run guru tendencies of the Chargers. We haven't seen shit in the first year and a bit from the running game, really, other than, sporadic nice plays by J.K. Dobbins or something like this. This made me feel a lot better about what the team can lean on when the passing game isn't working for whatever reason, including guys being injured, tackles being injured.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we'll hold off the offensive line. You just give me the sign when you're ready to sink your teeth into that one.
Maybe on a connected note, it doesn't have to be offensive line, but we've spoken about Herbert making the big play in the big moment. We've spoken about the running game. What about your overall thoughts on the game plan heading into this game? So if you think about, you're playing a Miami defense who hasn't been great, but the Chargers obviously have a lot of injuries, especially to the line. What did you think of the overall performance? You've scored 29 points. How did you feel about the approach and the attack on offense?
Well, I mean, to follow on from what I said about the running back group, it's not really one that I'd go, if the pass rush is there, we can, try and manipulate the run game a little bit better, because I don't know if I necessarily would trust those three backs on paper, right? So that's a massive surprise that was executed as well as it was. And you said it was a little bit different to how Greg Roman would try and maybe orchestrate it with the other personnel, which is a fantastic thing to see, that adjustment. I was also really concerned about the starting tackles, but in the run game in particular, I think Dissly, Fisk did a great job, as you've said. Still concerned over the interior of that offensive line, which is sort of the consistent, the starting three essentially, right? So the sort of the back and forth of those, the juxtaposition of the tackles and the interior. But what surprised me a little bit was the way that the linebackers were targeted in the passing game, and not so much the secondary. You harped on very nicely last week about how the Dolphins don't have a good secondary, and they really weren't targeted at all. So quite a surprise. That average depth of target, I think, was around 6.2 or 6.3. So really kept the pass game short and quick. And I guess, without Herbert taking a proper sack, he kind of gave himself up short of the line. Maybe that was instrumental in how the offense was able to keep manipulating the ball up the field.
I think you've nailed it. I mean, where I didn't love the game plan the last couple of weeks as much without starting tackles in. I didn't think it was as good, but in this game, I actually thought the use of the quick game was really quite clever, and the way they hit Gadsden so many times in the flats, and the way they got the play action game going again. They haven't really been that good at that for the last few weeks. In this game, 10 of 12, 104 yards and a touchdown, including one really nice strike to Gadsden in the third quarter. They were calculated on those deep shots, so they did go, hey, like I was saying last week, we can't just be predictable passing short of the sticks. We've got to take a few to stretch the defense. And they did. And when they did that, they had 6 or 7 people in on pass protection, only 2 or 3 on routes. Like you said, I actually thought the Miami secondary did a really good job. I thought Minka did a great job on Ladd for large parts of the first half.
Yep.
Outside corners were fine, and we did exactly what you've just said. We decided to attack their linebackers instead, who are more run-first linebackers. And
yep.
Herbert gets pressured on only 30% of his dropbacks, which is for people who don't follow the stats that much, that's right in that middle of the pack or slightly below middle of the pack. That's a really strong result. Quarterbacks can operate at 30%. Herbert also didn't take sacks when he was pressured. As you said, his pressure to sack rate was below 10%. So that was phenomenal from him. And overall, I mean, credit to Roman. They also came out and passed the ball to start the third quarter with 11 straight passes that ended in a Ladd McConkey touchdown. And I thought that was those adjustments we talk about. Oh, the offense has come out stagnant. Not to start the third quarter. So we have slammed Greg Roman quite a bit the last few weeks. We've talked about him being C+, B- at best. You know, this was back towards that start of the year. Chiefs, Raiders. Can you remember another time where he's done more with less?
Not this year, and hazy on maybe like an early game where, maybe like Ladd at New Orleans last year, maybe. But even then, the line would have been better. So it's really impressive. Going on to Oronde Gadsden that you brought up and his usage, it's fantastic to see, and it is really important to me for the culture of developing these younger players when they make a mistake to, rather than kind of cotton wool them and, protect them, they get them back out there. And he had 5 or 6 catches after that fumble, which is awesome to see for the trust that the team and Herbert have in the rookie to get back out and keep making plays. So that's awesome to see. There was, a lot of trust in the game today, and it paid off right across the board, I think.
I'm glad they kept on throwing to him. I mean, I thought that fumble was a little unlucky. I know our buddy Ryan said, in the NFL, you got to not try and get that extra yard. It's not the ACC.
Could have had his knees down before the punt came in.
I thought he was trying to get down, though. It's not like I thought he was going for the extra yardage. He was in between 2 defenders. A little unlucky. Great play by the Miami defender. I've even forgotten who forced it out, but it was a good play.
Was it Douglas?
Might have been Douglas, yeah. But they kept going to him, as they should have, and he kept repaying the faith. Trey Harris looked pretty good to me as well. I mean, he is, I think he had more snaps than any wide receiver, any of them on the field, and that's because he's made himself such a valuable contributor in the run game. And he looked great. He looked confident with his hands as well. Again, there are 1 or 2 opportunities Herbert turns down, decides I'm going to throw short instead of giving my guy a chance one-on-one. It'll come. I think it'll come. But offense basically humming, except what do we do? How do we feel about the offensive line? Why don't we talk about it now? Because in this game, you've got Bobby Hart playing for the Chargers for the first time ever. You've got Deculus playing for, and I forget, is it the second time ever as a starter, third time full stop? It's not great, and I don't know if it's going to get better that soon.
Yeah, it's really tough to stomach from what we had to what we've got, right? But what succeeded this week in the use of Disley and Fisk sort of propping up the tackles is it's limiting, and it then becomes predictable. So it's not a sustainable course of action to kind of band-aid the holes in the ship, as Jack was talking about last week. My big concern is that with all the rushing yards, I think we had like 5 yards from 8 attempts running in between the tackles. So like I mentioned, Zion, Bozeman and Becton being the starting 3 of the interior, really troubling that is, we're forcing essentially away from Greg Roman's want, which worked, right? But we don't want to be limited by the better guys that we have and actually sort of succeeding because we can kind of maintain the edge for the running back to go outside. So areas like that I'm just concerned about. And that Gettysburg play just goes to show that like Herbert is just so much better than the social media quarterback that he's touted as being, because he's got to deal with so much shit. Like it'd just drive you insane. But how are you seeing the interior of the line? Because I think what we'll be getting into is who we've been seeing taking first team reps at practice, which is exciting. Does it mean anything?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's got to happen. I mean, I've been fed up for a few weeks watching Bozeman's 5 to 8 bad reps per game out of 40. I know, I just want to acknowledge most of the time linemen do their job. They would be annoyed and say, guys, you only notice when we stuff up. 80% of the time, nothing happens. But that's just the NFL. I mean, most of the time you do succeed at the offensive line. It's hard to get to the quarterback as a defender. Offenses get the ball out of their hands quickly. They throw screens. They run the ball in the opposite direction. Bozeman consistently 4 or 5 times a game is just losing immediately, either from a swim move or, he made one play, he got out and was the lead blocker on the Disley screen. He just got there and shoved the defender out of the way. He is so stiff, man. He's running around like the Tin Man. He needs a bit of oil. It's not a pretty sight, and whatever intangibles he's supposed to be bringing, this was another game where, to me, too often Miami had a free rusher coming through at Herbert. It happened too often. I didn't think that happened as much last week. This week, you got to pick up. He's coming off the edge. They don't have a plan, or running backs, two blockers are going to the same guy.
Yeah.
So, as you've alluded to today at practice with the ones, we saw a bit of Andre James, and I think it's high time to shake things around. I think Zion's actually doing his job very well most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Becton has not been a great signing so far. I'll be beneficial and say maybe it's fitness or health related, and he'll work into form. But reliably every game, early in the game, he's making mistakes. That was him allowing Kenneth Grant on the sack. Would have been a good play, and that's how you end up, Andy, with a first half where the offense has 3 red zone trips and 3 field goals, because there's either a pre-snap penalty or a guy's getting beaten off the snap, and then you're getting angry. That I saw some dirty stats about the Chargers, are worst in the league in terms of red zone trips becoming touchdowns. And if they carry on at this rate, they'll be, bottom 5 of the 21st century of any team.
Wow.
So something's got to give. Would you make
sitting at about 38% or something midway through that game? No, great. And that's exactly right. It was a lot to do with false start penalties from a line that doesn't play together a lot. And then, just poor limiting where you're in short yardage situations and you lose the run blocking rep, and that rush goes nowhere on 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 2. And so you're then put in a position where you've kind of got to kick the field goal, because if you can't get that rush, you'd rather get 3 points than nothing if you're just not going to succeed on the 4th down attempt, which we saw during the game. It does make it really hard. But Andre James in for Bozeman. Jamari Solier is looking like he's practicing as well. Where would you see him fitting in? Straight into one of the tackle spots, or potentially in at guard where they played him last year and push Becton out to tackle?
Wow. Yeah, it's great that they have a lot of options. I mean, that's the advantage of getting these dual position players all across your line. So I would go Solier at right tackle, I think. I'm worried they're going to go with the conservative approach and just keep things as it was this week. I don't think that would be a great decision against the Colts. I think they're maybe a little better overall on the defensive line than the Dolphins are. And Bobby Hart is good for 2 pre-snap penalties a game, and also isn't very good at the other stuff. They kind of schemed around him. He had some okay reps, but they gave him help. They gave him chipping help. They shaded the running back to his side. I'd go Solier at right tackle. And I'm glad if they do make this move and put in Andre James, it offsets a question I was going to ask you, which is, can the Chargers win a Super Bowl without making a move at center before the trade deadline, actually splashing? And could this be the move they need to make?
Well, a move would, without making a move, is that so? Like, as in keeping Bradley Bozeman at centre for?
Yeah, can this team win a
running the
Super Bowl
course?
with Bradley Bozeman as the starting centre?
With the two starting tackles out, no, is the short answer from me. I don't see the leadership being there, the coherence of the line as a whole, operating as one unit. I don't see it there, and maybe it's that sort of intangible leadership stuff that he could have over Andre James and command of the line, even if it is sort of, if I run into this wall, will you run into it after me kind of thing. Maybe that's what Bozeman brings that they don't want to let go of. But I don't know, his football playing ability, quite frankly, stinks. And Herbert is getting smashed. Another 6 quarterback hits. I don't want to harp on about refereeing and stuff, but surely, like, I think I counted 3 that were late and egregious, and 1 that was certainly callable. Like, for Tart to get done for hitting Tua, which was there, that was definitely a flag. That was a moron play.
And he's been flirting with that all year.
Yeah, he's getting naughty.
He's right on that line. He's an energy bringer, but that pissed me right off.
Yep. It's just like near every fountain over in Europe. I see my son walk over and he climbs up on the ledge and he looks over just as he's about to dangle his foot with his sock and shoe on in the pond. And I wave my finger, no. And he started doing this and going, no, back, and then foot straight into the pond. And that's just a bit of what Teo Tart's doing. He's just sticking his foot in the pond and going, I'll push the rules. And look, the downside for me is I've got a spare sock and a shoe for my little man. And Teo Tart's costing us half the distance to the goal and a touchdown. So look, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, look, I don't want to get too much into the discipline just yet. I'll save that for a bit later. What was important on the defensive side of the ball for you, mate?
Ooh, boy, important on the defense. I'll say that finally turnover luck was back on our side. That was important. The team, I don't think, had a turnover for 4 games, and they managed to get 3 in the one game. The last one I don't really count, right? That was bizarre and a lot of fun. Derwin clearly enjoyed that. What are you doing? It's a Hail Mary and you should throw in some kind of quick screen rubbish. But the first one, again, not really turnover worthy play, but that is that stuff that Minter coaches hats around the ball so that if they stuff it up, you're there to strike. Tony Jefferson did that. And then St. Just was a genuine nice play where he felt like he knew the route concept and decided to be a bit more aggressive and jump the route. Awesome. Probably pretty key to the result in this football game. So I'll start with, for me, turnovers is the first thing that came to me.
Yeah, awesome. What's important to me is I think seeing early on in the game Adafe Owe having an impact. And he might have just beaten I think the tight end was blocking him, to be honest, on that play. But it's good to get runs on the board, as we say. But then he flashed a little bit, but look, kind of came back to earth a bit with his run defending. So it was, look, a little bit of good impact, but not sort of super flashing. Important though, I think that, for the move that Ortiz has made, what that implication is on the team, from the fan base, that it looked like it worked straight off the bat. And I think there's a very sort of base level of appreciation and need for the fan base for that move to sort of pay off.
And I in a week where it's timely, there's another conversation breaking out about the utility of PFF grades and JJ Watt slamming them and Pat McAfee, and they shouldn't be on the TV. It's the same old, this happens a few times a year. What's the value of PFF grades? If you've seen Jason Owe have a PFF grade of whatever he had, high 30s, low 40s, I didn't particularly care about that for what he brought that is important to the team, because there were 4 key reps I saw where his pressure brought something that no one else on the team has done at all this year, including Tooley. He just has a completely different skill set. And what the PFF grade won't show is with Jason Owe, Tooley was able to go back to being a stand-up rusher over the guard, which he hasn't been able to do at all with Mac out. And that is how Tooley got his sack. It was a bit of Polynesian on Polynesian crime, him on Jonas Savaiinaea. That was Owe on the outside, Murphy on the other outside, and you got Tooley standing up, doing that stand-up rusher Zadarius Smith shit. Without Jason Owe, you're not doing that. He also had his own sack. He also had an awesome play where he blew up Chase Tua, who had to roll to his right and chuck the ball. Those things are really important. And yes, he lost edge contain 2 or 3 times, 2 outside runs that he would not have been able to stop anyway against Devon Archain. I'm looking for Minter's scheme to do better rather than Owe, who's getting dinged for 1 missed tackle or not setting a really hard edge. I thought he had a really promising debut for a guy who arrived at the Chargers 48 hours before the game.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I love you, PFF. I'm sorry, baby. I need you, baby. But I just wanted to say that grade was too low for mine. Where do we want to go next on the defensive side of the ball? There are obviously some challenging things from this game on defense. But did you have anything else you wanted to call out that was a bit more positive or important?
Been really impressed with in patches Troy Dye's ability to stand up in the absence of Denzel Perryman. Made a couple of great plays, big tackle for loss. I think it's been a very unsung Troy Dye's input to the team at the moment.
Yeah. Yeoman's performance for Dye. I still am looking forward to welcoming back Denzel, hoping it fixes some of the run defense problems. But Dye's doing a decent enough job, and he's playing not that differently to Henley, who has not been playing at that high level. I think Dye's been adequate. I also thought Dupree was a solid edge-setting presence in this game. There aren't too many games. I always pay out Dupree. I always pay out Tito. I actually thought both of them flashed in a positive way in this game. So I have to be fair. When you play well, I'll give you the credit you deserve. Overall, though, defense, I mean, the best defender for this game was Keenan Allen with the veteran PBU in the red zone that stopped the interception, I thought. But otherwise, Andy, what is going on with this run defense? We allow Achan's first 100-yard rushing game of the season.
Yeah, well, that big 49-yard rush play, watching it back, was just awesome work by the offensive line, right? That was just textbook, kind of pulling across and then sealing the edge inside. OA got trapped. Derwin couldn't cover on the angle, and Mickens, I think, was too far inside the field. So you kind of forgive that. There were big blow-ups. And the guys just got that wicked lateral speed to get across and then burn around the corner. So, again, the Dolphins succeeded running outside the tackles, far greater than inside, similar to the Chargers. I just think it's Henley's, like you said, Henley's not playing that great. We're missing that sort of downhill speed from Perryman in the run game, and maybe there's just a little bit of confusion. Molden's been in and out of the team. Sort of breakdowns of communication across the defensive backs for shutting down those angles. So probably a few problems going on with the run defense from a sort of secondary standpoint. From the line's sake, and I agreed with what you were saying last week about Tito getting more snaps than Naquan Jones, but he flashed and had some good plays. Boygby did too, and a couple of good special teams plays as well from him. I don't really know what the true solution is, but setting the edge is a massive one, and contain in the run game is vital, and I don't think we're really achieving that right at the minute.
No, and look, I would describe my knowledge of scheme and X's and O's as above average, but it's not advanced that I can pinpoint what the specific problem is. I mean, at a rudimentary level, you've got a choice, right? If you really want to stop the run as a defense, you can do that. You can go a 6-man front, 6-man line, 8 in the box, 9 in the box. It's not really how Minter wants to play. Minter does more often than not want to play with 2 safeties. Nickel, he wants 5 DBs almost all the time. Very rarely do we almost play no base defense, 3 linebackers on the field. So if you really want to commit resources and stop the run, that's how you would do it. You'd have heavier, bigger, more bodies on the line of scrimmage. And it also probably doesn't help the way we do like to have that umbrella structure where your corners are 8 yards off the line, in zone. Your nickel is off the line. I know they usually are, but I mean, generally, I think they're not dedicating the resources to stop some of this. And then if you add to that some really wicked scheme design by Kingsbury and McDaniel in the last, 2 weeks, where they are actually straining your communication by pulling your eyes, by having motion going across the snap the other way, and then, oh shit, it's actually a sweep in the other direction. And now they've got a numbers advantage against a guy who runs a 4.2. I mean, their second 4.28, the second touchdown in this game, Derwin James is there. Derwin James was not tricked by motion or anything. He knew he had to stop Achan, and he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't get to the edge quickly enough. It is a problem because the Colts will run outside zone with Jonathan Taylor, and they've got the best offensive line in the league. So,
yeah. Do you see there being an issue that Minter doesn't want to kind of err away or move away from the plans that he's enacting? Like, do you think he's becoming a little bit headstrong on the situation, stubborn, not to sort of change? Because the bend don't break philosophy is all well and good until the cracks start to appear, and then it's breaking at a rapid pace. And not wanting to get into the next week's preview just yet, or even talk about the game, but yeah, Jonathan Taylor is a fucking problem, and that line is a problem. And if you're not adjusting to that, it's going to be a pretty fucking hard day.
Yep. Let me try and be Jesse Minter. What would I say if someone said that to me? I'd say we're 6 games in and our defense is still top 10 in points allowed and still top 10 in EPA per play. So that's pretty good in a 32-team league. What we're doing overall is working. And yeah, we want to work on that one area. But you've got to remember having this umbrella and all the other things is stopping the big pass plays. And we're really good against the pass. I'd then say something like, hey, this game was so close. Like, Miami probably never make that comeback if St. Juice doesn't get that random low block penalty on a 2nd and 16. That would have been a 3rd and 13. Instead, that's 1st and 10. We would have had Tua 3rd and 13 after we had just intercepted him and we just got a sack on the last drive and we were going to get another 3 and out. And credit to McDaniel, they called some really nice plays. They were using screens, orbit motion, and we just missed a couple of things. We got some young guys in the secondary. Mickens is still getting his feet wet. Overall, we can solve this.
Yep.
Have I persuaded you?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah. Because you're right. Like if it's just 1 or 2 of those brain fades that you can't game plan to the low block penalty and Taya Tart just having a bit of a brain snap. Derwin James in that drive as well, I think, for Alec Ingold's 22-yard gain. Played the ball instead of kind of securing the
that close
possession.
to a kick, right?
Yeah. So, they're those coin toss kind of moments where if it goes the other way, if he breaks up that pass, then, there's the down's dead. So, yeah, look, you have sold me because there's no point in just trying to put all your eggs in one basket. They've still got Pittman and Pierce in the receiving corp and a line that's giving Daniel Jones the opportunity to throw the ball. So, yeah, it's a good point. But, look, could get nasty. All right, what else on defense? What did you find challenging? What were some of the aspects that really sort of bothered you from the defensive play?
I mean, other than what we've discussed, wasn't great that the Chargers, one thing I will not criticize, but just call out, the Chargers don't blitz much. They don't like to blitz. And when they did, they got killed on the blitz in this game. And part of that is because Miami get the ball out very quickly and they use a lot of eye candy. But I also think another reason is Minter when he blitzes, he sends 5. He doesn't go all out blitz. Really, like his idea of a fun time is a simulated blitz. Who's like, we'll pretend to fake. We'll think about faking.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am. I can't breathe. That's what he would. Yeah, his idea of a fun time of the party is,
a Roy Orbison tattoo on his ass.
Yeah, exactly. He will send that 5th. Maybe he could get a little more aggressive. No, he doesn't need to go full Greg Williams or anything like that. But that's how he likes to play the game. But where you have to change is when teams aren't buying it. Teams know, all right, we've seen your different pressure paths. We know the ones you will have 5 guys on the line and 2 of them will drop out, and you'll actually bring Derwin as a 4th, and it will be overload on this side. And I know that as tricky as this looks, there are only 4 guys coming, and that means 3 guys who were on the line are having to violently run backwards into a hook zone. Yeah. And I'm just going to pass the ball straight away into that hook zone for 7 yards to my tight end 2. That's what teams are doing.
Yep. Yep.
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing, man. But yeah, look, what didn't kill me or anything this week is it wasn't a Staley-esque, why are they 10 yards off the line the whole time? And that's why Miami's coming back with these 2 touchdowns in the last quarter. I don't think that's what happened. As you've pointed out, you had the near play from Derwin and you had the unlucky PI and you had the unlucky low block. I thought they were playing man middle of the field closed on first downs. I didn't think it was just soft cover 4 bullshit. There was a bit of that, but sometimes credit where it's due. McDaniel's a good caller. He had his vape out. He had the vape pen ready to go. And the game was almost lost.
Yeah. Forgive me a second. What's his name? Stephen Ross. You have to feel for Stephen Ross coming out of the race at the stadium just to see the final minutes. You know, Miami's come back. They've hit the front within a minute to go. Stephen Ross is standing there watching Cam Dicker sail it through. How fucking good is Cam Dicker?
Oh,
I just love the guy. What's most important to me? Literally the best kicker in the NFL right now, ever. What's important to me is the improvement on special teams right across the board. I think has been problematic with penalties the last few weeks, barring J.K. Scott's first punt, which was a little bit of a shank, I think, for 39 yards. The second one was a boomer, and to rescue that snap on the game-winning field goal was just crazy. More unsung kind of moments. And special teams was flourishing. Boygby, I think, on the kickoff after we scored our field goal, smoked the returner. That's a 280-plus defensive tackle, making that stop on special teams. Like that's awesome. I'm really hoping that Fickens put a flame underneath them. It's great to see. Really great to see special teams back in action.
Yeah, they played like it. And, just to let the listeners in behind the curtain, I went AWOL. I went apeshit after the throw from Herbert to McConkey. I've only just got my voice back. It's, 3 days later. I couldn't talk for the rest of the evening, but because I was watching on delay, I just, flicked forward, knowing that we were going to run the clock and just go in for the field goal. I basically wasn't looking, and I've just, flicked forward and seen us winning. Then when I've gone back and seen the replay of the botched hold, that would have served me right. Botched snap. That would have served me right so much if we'd somehow lost that game with a missed kick the way I was carrying on. I'm lying down. I can't even talk with no voice. And I'm fast forwarding through Dicker's kick knowing that he's going to kick it.
Yeah.
That would have been something. Anyway, look, we're dragging on a bit on time. One last thing before we go to our awards. I'm not going to bore you with it because I'm an analytics idiot. But listeners, I did put some stuff on Twitter about Harbaugh's conservatism, and in this game, multiple times on 4th and short, they take the field goal instead of the touchdown. Harbaugh's ranking basically last in the league or close to it in terms of what the nerds say is win probability cost by poor decisions on 4th down. Some people will agree with this, and some people will say football is about taking the points, gaining a psychological advantage on your opponent. Don't worry about these maths nerds and the numbers. They don't know football. I say there's room for something in between. And all I want to say on this is in this game, there were 3 times when the Chargers ended up taking a field goal on 4th and short. One of them, they also chose to send Dicker out on a 58-yard attempt instead of go for a 4th and 2. Thankfully, they got a penalty and ended up getting the first down from it. What I will say, though, is both of those on 3rd down, it was also 3rd and 2, and Romans run the ball for no gain. Is Harbaugh telling Roman we're not going for things on 4th and short? Is that communication clear? Because to me, if I'm the OC and I know my coach is not going for it on 4th and 1 and 4th and 2, if it's 3rd and 2, I'm probably keeping the ball in Herbert's hands. And 2 or 3 times in this game, it's Vidal stuffed for no gain, and we're sending out Dicker on a 4th and 2. Fair?
Yeah, fair. Completely fair. Really frustrating to watch it all unfold. A couple of moments like that. There's argument that he could have burned a timeout with about or just under 2 minutes to go in the last quarter. As the kind of clock played out, it worked. But in hindsight, the analytics would tell you to take a timeout there and leave a minute 40 on the clock instead of a minute 10.
42 seconds or whatever the hell we had. But when Herbert got the ball, we had 38 seconds.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's all we needed with Ladd McConkey. But give him a bit of time if you can.
For sure. But the in-game situation stuff, the play calling and the communication, it's very valid to question that. I'd say that I'd have to assume that it's all communicated and that the 4th down situation would be accounted for, but it just doesn't really make sense to rush the ball up the middle. It's not working. No gain. Now we're forced into 3 points. There were a lot of moments where we really
thinks he's got 2 more downs.
Yeah. Anywho, awards, mate. No teachable moment this week. I will start us off with the award, and it would have been nice to come back with something a little bit more sort of leading into a positive, but I think it's valuable, and in light of the teach not being here to give his philosophical viewpoint on an aspect of the game, the discipline to me gets the award, where the game was there to be won. As the second half started, the first 5 possessions on either side of the ball were great. 2 touchdowns, a field goal on offense, a 3 and out, and to a second interception on defense. But even being up 13 points, the defense then sort of stutters a little bit, surrenders a 13 play drive, going 70 yards. Silly plays creep in. We've spoken about them. St. Juice gives up the low block penalty, results in a first down. Doohan plays the ball and misses. That might be the indication from Minter, but another first down with Alec Ingold down the field. Taya Tart roughs Tua, 4-yard touchdown run. Then Keenan and Herbert are a bit out of joints. There's a ball thrown behind. And then we watch as the Dolphins take another 5.5 minutes off the clock. And it's moments like that where I just am not really impressed with the way that I think more so on defense it's happening and how Minter's kind of keeping his guys in the game. So like I said, moments where the defensive play was great, the structure was awesome, but then it sort of fell away. So in a game where I thought most things started off slower and then ramped up into more positive than they began with, this one really kind of caught my attention. And the discipline is a big foundational piece for the organisation.
Fair. Taya Tart, you've been warned by Daddy. He doesn't have a change of clothes for you. Be better. We need you to be at your best when your best is needed, or you're going to get fined.
Can you imagine calling Taya Tart Daddy? Or making him call you Daddy?
Yeah, you're calling him daddy for sure.
It'd be rough. There'd be a bit of rough in the podcaster, that's for sure.
Get over here and suck on daddies. All right,
Whoa.
we'll go the Nah Yeah Award. This week, the Nah Yeah Award. I'm gonna. There's two of them. All right. We're gonna go Justin Aboigby for the Nah Yeah Award. He is a guy who we almost called it earlier in the year. Jack was obviously down on the pick. Got to remind you, Jack. The credit, he's been better the last 2 or 3 weeks. And special teams needed that boost. He made 3 tackles, and they weren't just tackles. They were bone-crunching tackles. And he brought others along to the party. I think Delshawn had one as well. So special teams found something when it really mattered. And I'm going to stick on special teams because I also want to give a Nah Yeah Award to Nyheim. His first name starts with NY. Nah Yeah. Nyheim Hines. Guy doesn't make the team. Cut. All right. We're not going to get this magical return from the jet ski injury arc. Well, decent 30-yard kickoff return in the first quarter. Excellent 40-yard return to set up, who knows, maybe he doesn't do that and the Chargers don't win this game. So I'm happy for him to stay in that role until Darius Davis comes back. Those are the 2 Nah Yeah Awards for this week, brother.
Nice. Yeah, I think they're both very fair. Had a fair few to pick out, but happy with that. Like we said, no teachable moment. We look forward to getting that back from Jack next week. Buy, sell, hold. Let's have a bit of fun to finish off the show this week. So we will each put a proposition to the other, related to anything you want, and we will respond saying buy. You either take the proposition, sell it, you disagree, or hold. Like, we'll just see how it goes and we'll sit on it. So over to you to start off with. Good sir.
Controversy to begin. Andy, the Chargers' most effective wide receiver trio in 11 personnel is Ladd, Keenan, and Trey Harris with QJ off the field.
Oh, I'm going to hold it. Definitely has the potential to be, but the sample size is very small, and QJ's been playing good football. So I'll hold that, but I'm not closing the door on it for sure.
Right.
Where to start? Baker Mayfield should be in the MVP contention. 5-1 record, clutch performance after clutch performance.
I'm holding that take, and it will be my last hold. I hate MVP chat before week 12. I fucking hate it. And again, if we're on this topic of what Americans do that other sports don't, this is one of those ones. Like, we're talking about, oh, he's been MVP in the season. Hey, it's week 3, you know?
Yeah.
This real early all-pro chat. Baker Mayfield is playing great, and the Bucks are surprising me. New OC, he's doing a lot himself. So far, he's been one of the best quarterbacks, but I'm holding the take. All right.
That got my desired result. I know you hate that shit. I threw it out any bit.
Yep, you caught me. You caught a fish. Now come over here. All right. The Steelers. The Steelers currently sit atop the AFC North with 4 wins versus the Bengals 2 and the Ravens and Browns on 1. However, in Week 18, the AFC North will be live, and the Steelers will need to win their matchup against the Ravens to win the AFC North.
That ties in nicely with another one I've got. I'd really have to have a closer look at how their roster goes, but it's going to be pretty hard for them to lose the division here. I'm going to sell the take. Yeah. I think with how everything else is going on around them in the AFC North, I'm going to sell that. So I will throw back at you.
Yep.
None of the current, which is a bit sort of hypocritical to my answer, if I was to side on or bias the way I asked this question, none of the current division leaders in the AFC will remain atop at season's end.
None of.
Yep.
And you're going to have to remind me, is it Patriots, Colts, Steelers, Chargers?
Yep.
No, I think the Colts have done enough and the Colts will stay. So I'm going to sell that take. I'm going to sell the take. It's a good proposition, though.
Are you going that the Colts have a better chance of hanging on than the Chargers do?
Yeah.
Being one win ahead of Jacksonville and... Okay.
Yeah, I just think the Texans and Jags have some fatal flaws that the Broncos and Chiefs don't. I just think the Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers are all really good teams, and I just don't know who's going to win it. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a couple more. Let's do some quick fire ones, all right? We've got 3 seconds to answer. One of the Chargers' 3 coordinators will not be on the team in 2026.
Sell.
Okay.
Go and sell. Buy, sell, hold. The Houston Texans are frauds.
Yeah, I'm buying that. The offensive line is a shit show and has not gotten better. With the Jets currently 0-6, Aaron Glenn will be a one and done head coach.
Whoa. Sell. I think that they'll keep him on. They know that it's a disaster there. Buy, sell, hold. Cam Scatterbo will play no more than 5 seasons in the NFL with concussion-related issues.
No, I'm going to sell that. I think that stuff is overblown, and I don't think he's going to have a shortened career due to head injuries, even though he's playing after his career, different story. But I think he'll extract every inch, every yard out of his potential. All right,
all the chat.
More.
Sorry, just before you go on, all the chat about him being like a crayon eater just throws me to the Simpsons episode where Homer's stuck all the crayons up his nose and into his brain, and Scatterbo's just got a packet of Crayolas just sitting up there.
Yeah.
Sorry, over to you.
No, that's okay. And Bozeman's sitting next to him. Last one. All right. No, I will go with this one. The Chargers are currently PFF's 27th ranked special teams. By season's end, they'll have climbed to within the top half of the NFL per PFF.
Top half. Oh, I would have jumped on 20. Top half.
And 16 counts. 16 and you win. Yeah.
I'm seeing players return from injury as the season grows on, so I'm going to buy it. It definitely has the potential to grow into that. One more from me, or are you done? Two-parter to finish off with for you. Buy, sell, hold. Brian Callahan's firing at Tennessee was harsh and premature, and Mike McCoy will find a way to win them out of the number 1 overall pick next year.
Oh, that's great.
That's got to be a yes to both.
Yeah, okay, then I'm selling the take. I thought Callahan was very close to deserving one and done last year. I really thought for the offensive guru, the offense didn't show enough, and the people leader management stuff was way off. And I thought this guy is just not. He wasn't a hot name. No one really knew that much about him. I just don't think it's going to work for a bad team with a pretty bad GM. Yeah. So yeah, the rest of it, we don't need to talk about Visor Boy and whether he's going to somehow salvage this lost, wrecked vessel. But I'll do the best thing for the football team, and I'm just, playing their tails off, and did what I think was best for the football team. All right.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can have bad pieces, bad tools in your toolbox, but if you don't look after your tools, then that's another thing, right? All right, score prediction for the Week 7 game against the Colts at SoFi. What have you got, Al?
Well, you're making tool analogies, and for me, I'm just like, whoop. Can I say a couple of things about this game? Because I had a bit of extra time and I was, looking at some things. We're not doing our full preview, but this Colts team are going to be hard to stop, Andy. I mean,
for sure.
They are first in points scored and EPA per play on offense. So through 6 games, they're the best offense in the league. And on defense, they have been 7th 4th in points allowed, 7th in EPA per play. Rare that you get top 10 on both sides of the ball. Daniel Jones is playing at a similar level, dare I say, to Justin Herbert. He's really playing well. He is making difficult throws. Jonathan Taylor's had the most rush attempts in the NFL and he's playing great. The offensive line is great. Tyler Warren is a phenomenal rookie. On defensively, I'm at a bit of a loss on how you stop this kind of team with wide receiver weapons, tight end weapons, running back, and a great offensive line. I think we've got to get aggressive and start to blitz because the times when Daniel Jones has looked terrible in the NFL, he will do these outrageous Justin Fieldsian stuff when he's under pressure. We've got to find a way to get him under pressure. And their defense, let's do what we did this week because it's that middle of the field. We've got a rarity where we're playing Jermaine Pratt twice in the same season. He was a Raiders linebacker and then they released him and now he's starting at linebacker on the Colts. And Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals put up whatever it was, 27 points on them last week.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're a good defense. They've got a good secondary and some pass rushers, but the linebackers don't cover that great. And I want to see a bit more of the game plan that worked for us this week. So there are some things, sorry, I know we're not doing the full thing. I'm looking for those things in this game, but I am going to say that the Chargers don't have enough to win this game. I'm going to say the Chargers lose at home 21-27 to the Colts.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go the other way and say that it's keeping a lot of the offense to limiting a lot of the Colts offense to field goals and suffocating them that way while still being able to find a way to score more points. So on that, 19 Indianapolis and 26 LA. So few field goals surrendered, but ultimately being able to get the job done. And look, a lot of the defensive side is going to be how to find a way to show enough respect across the board to the weaponry in this Colts offense and just stop Jonathan Taylor as best we can. I'm not going to keep him to 40 yards, but maybe fewer carries 40 yards plus, right?
Yep.
Have to hit and hope. Anyway,
Striking
guys.
Back to SoFi.
Yeah. Anything further, mate? Or that'll do us until we reconvene next week. Hopefully the three of us back together. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Great to have you back, man.
Great to be back. Good to be doing the show. See you next week on the Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast.
Bye.
Back pedals looking, firing. He's got Floyd turning. Got it! Zigzag, 10, 5, high step.